Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a question that sounds almost silly simple, but it's actually one of the deepest and most fascinating puzzles in all of logic. So let's just jump right in. Seriously, think about it for a second. When you say something like, the sky is blue, what is the thing in the world that actually makes that statement true? And maybe even more importantly, what makes the statement, the sky is green, false? This is the big question we're going to tear into in this explainer. All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to start by looking at how logicians have traditionally tried to answer that question. And it all starts with a really cool theory. This is the big idea we're working with today, the theory of truthmakers and falsitymakers. It basically says that for any statement you can make, there are these fundamental building blocks out there in reality that either make it true or make it false. Sounds simple enough, right? But the journey of how logicians got here, well, that's the really interesting part. So for a long time in the world of logic, there were kind of two main schools of thought. The one that really dominated was the one you see on the left, proof-theoretic semantics. The core idea here is that a word's meaning isn't about some abstract concept, it's all about the rules for how you use it in a logical proof. It's a system built entirely around verification, around proving that statements are true. But as you're about to see, this laser focus on only truth created a massive headache. So where does this whole truth-only system start to crack? Well, it turns out the entire thing gets tripped up by one tiny three-letter word. Yep, you're looking at the villain of our story, the word not. Think about it. In a system that's all about verification and proof, how do you prove a negative? How do you prove that there is not a purple elephant in the room with you right now? You can't exactly point to a not elephant, can you? This simple word completely breaks the elegant system of truth-only proofs. This kind of imbalance is a huge red flag in logic. It's what they call a lack of proof-theoretic harmony. For any logical system to be stable and, not fall apart, the rules you have for introducing a concept have to be perfectly balanced with the rules for using that concept. With the word not, that harmony is broken. And when that happens, things can get, well, completely bonkers. And this is the perfect, most absurd example of just how bonkers it can get. Let's look at the famous Tonk paradox. Imagine we just invent a new word, Tonk, and we give it two simple rules. Rule 1, the introduction rule, says if you know A is true, you can say A Tonk B for literally any B you want. Rule 2, the elimination rule, says if you have A Tonk B, you can just go ahead and conclude B. Do you see the problem yet? Using these two innocent-looking rules, you could start with something you know is true, like the sun is hot. Then you use Rule 1 to say the sun is hot, Tonk pigs can fly. And then you use Rule 2 to conclude, pigs can fly. You can prove literally anything from anything. And just like that, the entire system of logic completely implodes into nonsense. This is what happens when you don't have harmony, and it's the very problem Not was creating. Okay, so how on earth do we fix this mess? How do we give the word not a proper home inside of logic? The solution, it turns out, is both incredibly elegant and totally radical. You have to stop focusing only on truth. This is where brilliant folks like the logician Niels Kurbis come in. He and others argued that you just can't properly define negation, the word not, if your entire system is built only on the idea of proving things to be true. It's a dead end. You need something else. You need its opposite. And right here, this is the paradigm shift. The old way, just looking at truth and verification, was fundamentally incomplete. The game-changing idea is this. Stop treating falsity like it's just the absence of truth. Instead, treat it as its own thing, a fundamental concept, an equal partner to truth. There are truth makers, sure, but there are also falsity makers. And here's the cool part. Once you accept falsity as an equal partner, it doesn't just fix that pesky not problem. It actually creates a much richer, much more powerful way of thinking about logic itself. This new approach has a name, bilateralism. It's a whole new way of looking at things that says logic isn't just about what you can assert is true. It is just as much about what you can deny as false. Assertion and denial, they're treated as two primary equal forces that create a perfectly balanced, harmonious system. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Meaning isn't just built on the power to say yes. It's actually built on two pillars, the power to say yes and the equally fundamental power to say no. Suddenly, you have a balanced, stable system where words like not finally have a home and make perfect, intuitive sense. But wait, there's more. Seriously? The rabbit hole goes even deeper, because once you accept truth and falsity as equals, it cracks open the door to a world that goes way beyond a simple binary. Once you start treating truth and falsity as these two fundamental forces, you unlock something incredible called many-valued logics. In these systems, truth is no longer a simple on or off switch. All of a sudden, you can have shades of gray or even totally new kinds of truth values you'd never considered before. Logicians like Zaitsev and Shrumto pushed this idea even further. They said, hey, let's separate two different layers of reality. There's the ontological layer, what's actually true out there in the world, and then there's the epistemic layer, what we know to be true. When you combine these, you move way beyond a simple true-false. A statement could be simply true in the world, even if we don't know it yet, or it could be known to be true. And the same goes for falsity. Logic suddenly becomes so much more nuanced and powerful. So, why should you care about all of this abstract logic stuff? Well, first, by embracing falsity, we can build much stronger, more stable logical systems that aren't going to collapse because of a paradox like Tonk. But more importantly, a logic that includes both assertion and denial is a logic that much better reflects how we humans actually reason and argue and disagree with each other. It gives us the tools to build far more sophisticated and realistic models of knowledge and reality itself. And that leaves us with one final thought to really chew on. If we accept that truth has this equal and opposite twin called falsity, does that mean that for every fact that exists in the world making a statement true, there's also a corresponding unfact out there making another statement false? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.